Hello everybody, it's me, Riffraff Hornhelm, and I'm back again with another presentation from the Dwarven Vault. And today, we have a monster review. And today we're going to take a look at the TREANT. Okay, not the Ent, gets us in trouble with the Tolkien folks. But the TREANT, as presented in the original monster manual for use with basic Dungeons & Dragons and Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, or what's typically called 1E today. So, welcome back, returning viewers, and for new viewers, if you haven't seen us before, please hit that like button, subscribe, share with your friends, leave us comments, all that kind of good stuff. But on with the story. So today we're talking about the TREANT, and the TREANT is, us dwarves really don't like TREANTs. TREANTs don't like dwarves. It's the whole axe thing and needing trees to help fire the forges sometimes when we ran out of coal. And well, it's a sordid story, and I don't want to go into it. So instead, we're just going to talk about this creature, which it is what it is. The TREANT looks like a living, walking tree. Anybody who has seen the movies or read the books having to do with J.R.R. Tolkien, this is where it originally came from. And they're pretty similar to what you see in the movie. They are 7 to 12 hit dice. They have a 0 armor class. They're able to defend themselves pretty well against weapons. But axes, well, like I said, I don't want to get into that sordid history. So, in any case, a real TREANT within the game is a powerful creature. Like I said, 7 to 12 hit dice, a 0 armor class, and it does damage. I think it's 2 to 16, 3 to 18, or 4 to 24, depending on if it is a small, medium, or large TREANT. And that, of course, corresponds with the hit dice that are 7 to 12. So a lesser hit dice one is going to obviously be the small one, and the highest level one, the one that does 4 to 24 damage, is the big one. Now, when they're within 60 feet of another tree, and I think they can do up to 6 at a time, they can bring them to life. And they can move and attack. They do the same amount of damage as a large TREANT, so 4 to 24 points of damage. And both the trees and the TREANTs, working together, can do damage to things like foundations and brick buildings and tear them apart very quickly, similar to what you see, once again, in the Tolkien books. Well, and in the movie, too. So these are very, very powerful creatures, and of course, with all the damage that they can do, they hate evil creatures. And the only thing that really frightens them is fire. And lots of axes. I did it again. But fire. And so much so that fire does a significant amount of additional damage to them. It's like +4 to hit. There's a plus per die of, I think it's 4. And it does a horrific amount of damage to these in a very short order. So, if you have fireball, this kind of thing, TREANTs don't like that. And they don't have any special magical resistance that allows them to dodge things as simple as Firefinger. So they have some vulnerabilities. Now, in the real world, us dwarves have had some interaction with TREANTs. They're friends with elves. Do I really need to say any more? Like I said, there's this whole sordid thing where we may have chopped up a few of them and used them in the fire for our forges. I really don't think that happened, but they seem to think so. So, I mean, I guess the bottom line is that we don't get along all that well, even though they're lawful good and we're good. But we leave them alone, and they mostly leave us alone. If we get lost in the forest, there's a lot of stories about not coming back Um, so we're very careful. I mean, it could be elves too, so not sure. But in the gaming world, a treant is looked at perhaps a bit differently. So we went out to the greater Hornhelm community and asked them about it and said, hey, what about the treant? What do you think? And the dungeon masters out there came back and said that this was a good creature, but they all thought it was very vulnerable, and they only came back with a ranking of 5. I can't really disagree with that much. I would have ranked it a little bit higher because of the fact that they are very intelligent, and as such, and because of this ability to bring other trees to life, they can really pack a hell of a punch. I tended to look at them more as about a 6, but I understand what they're saying. I mean, it's kind of like a mummy. You just don't want to be around fire. And fire, unfortunately, is something that everybody knows that a treant doesn't like. Of course, we also went out to the players and said, well, what do you think of the treant? They found them to be pretty helpful, and in a group at least, they were really thought to be very, very useful. They came back with a solid 6 to 6.5. I guess it depends on the context in terms of whether or not you were fighting them or if they were helping you. Most of the players I'm talking to out there are probably playing good characters, so it was always from a help standpoint. But certainly as an opponent, they have their vulnerabilities. So that, my friends, is the treant. We hope you found today's presentation to be interesting, amusing, educational, all that kind of good stuff. If you did, please be so kind as to leave us a like. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Leave us a comment. Share with your friends. But most of all, please come back and see us again. Take care, everyone, and remember, dwarves rock!